The final event of the 2001 Indy Racing League season is about to unfold here at Texas Motor Speedway. It was postponed from September 16th, 5 days after our lives changed. Things are so much different now, but one thing remains consistent: our spirit, our determination to stand united in the face of our adversaries until the battle has been won.
Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Texas 2001, Stacey James, with the singing of America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful, full spacious skies, for amber waves of gray, for purple mountain majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for patriot dreams who seed beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. America, America.
Now, everyone here at Texas Motor Speedway, please join Miss Texas in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
A stirring pre-race salute to America. Now the Indy Racing League is ready to race for the final time this year in the Chevy 500 from Texas Motor Speedway. ESPN is with you live for the Chevy 500, the 13th and final event for 2001 at the site of the most intensive racing we've ever seen, Texas Motor Speedway. And the Texas race fans, they are on their feet and loving it. Oh, mercy, and Greg Ray may have him this time as they head down for turn number 1. Nope, Scott battles back.
Greg and I got so close a couple times. I was just waiting for the hit, and amazing we didn't.
Now Cheever goes, whoa, oh, they're going to go 3 wide.
You can't drive like that. I mean, I'd get underneath them and they'd just chop you off. Sharp moved me 3 lanes up in the way into the gray. I had no place to go. I had 2 choices, hit the wall or go high.
It was wild, I tell you.
Look at this, scram rest.
Hold your line.
Yes, it did. And Greg Ray takes the lead, and Cheever had to get out of the throttle once again.
That is lunacy. That is absolute irresponsible lunacy.
When was the last time you saw Indy-style race cars going through a corner 3 abreast at 215 miles an hour for the lead? And make it. Well, that intense rivalry is set to begin again, and Vince Welch, Cheever hopes for a better outcome today.
Well, tempers flared and emotions ran the gamut last time we were here in June, Eddie, and I know it didn't end up the way you wanted to. Do you feel as though you have some unfinished business today?
Yes, I do. That was very well put. Yes, I do. But that's all behind us now. Now I got 7 guys to pass, 200 laps to run, and hopefully a very strong Infinity engine all the way through to the end.
Is it a thin line between being too aggressive and being an aggressive racer?
In this sort of racing, which is, I think, by far and away the most exciting oval racing in the world, the drivers have to respect each other. This is not NASCAR where you can bump and lean on somebody. You've got to hold your line, and if you're brave enough to take the outside line, take it. But you cannot use your car as a weapon. And what happened in Texas last time was a turning point for us. You don't do that anymore. If you do it, you get a fine.
Eddie Cheever sporting the colors of the Red Cross today as well. Dr. Jerry Punch?
You know, Vince, in the final laps last June, these fans stood and screamed their approval as they watched what one driver, the guy you just talked to, described as absolute lunacy. 3 open-wheel cars running side by side, lap after lap at 215 miles an hour. Eddie Cheever, Greg Ray, and this guy here who ended up being the winner that day, Scott Sharp. Let's ask Scott. Scott, could we see more of the same today, what we saw in June?
I think you'll definitely see that today, Jerry. There's a lot of fast cars. I expect it to be one big group, probably at least 12 guys that could all be running and drafting off each other. You're going to see a lot of action today.
Any major concerns about the new surface or the slightly cooler temperatures?
No, the Texas Motor Speedway's just done a fantastic job with the pavement. It's really smoothing the track out. We've gained about 1.5 miles in speed. I think the temperatures are fine, and you're just going to be ready for an unbelievable race.
Good luck to you.
Thanks, buddy.
Well, Bob Jenkins, the excitement is about to begin.
Well, Jerry, it's good to have you with us on our IRL telecast, and hi to you, and welcome to the curtain closer, if you will, on the 2001 season for the IRL. It's been a while since we've been with you, so we need to bring you up to date on some news. First of all, something that happened here about 1 hour and 10 minutes ago. Robbie Knievel was the focus of attention of the people gathered here in the grandstand. He lined up 20 of the IRL cars, and here he came down off the banking in turn number 4 for a jump over the cars, and he made it. Rather hard landing, but Robbie Knievel made it. We'll show you another replay of it as he easily cleared those cars that were lined up, and Robbie Knievel received a huge round of applause from the crowd gathered here. Now, an announcement that was made earlier this weekend. As you know, Firestone Tire and Rubber Company has been the sole supplier of tires for the Indy Racing League for the past few years. And it was announced earlier that they will continue to be the sole supplier of tires for the IRL through the year 2005. Now, let's turn our attention to next year in 2002. There was another event added to the schedule. As we check out the IRL news, Fontana, California has been added to the schedule. That will be March 24th. That'll be a brand new venue along with Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Then in the second half of the season, Brooklyn, Michigan will be a new venue in all 15 races. This is the last race for the Oldsmobile Aurora engine. The Chevy Indy V8 will be the nameplate on the power plant. They will join Infiniti next year, and in 2003, Toyota, of course, will build a normally aspirated engine for the Indy Racing League. It is a beautiful day here in Texas today. However, that has not been the case yesterday and the day before. We had hard rain yesterday. In fact, it postponed qualifying. So they're lining up by entrant points. Only one practice session. That was earlier today, and it was an interesting session, Larry Rice.
Well, it certainly was. It was cold, as you said, and Billy Boat had some problems coming out of the pits. As he took off out of the pit area onto the back straightaway, the car got loose on him. He got on the throttle a little bit too hard because the temperatures were down in the 40s. He spun around, and as he came across the racetrack, he collected Greg Ray. Now, Billy Boat's car was repairable, and they did get that car fixed. However, Greg Ray's car was not repairable. A.J. Foyt and that whole crew have been back there thrashing on that car all afternoon, the last 5 hours, actually. They think they have it fixed. We'll get more on that from Vince Welsh in just a minute.
And Jason Priestley is also with us. And Jason, although the championship has been decided, a lot of others standing the points are very much up for grabs.
Yeah, absolutely. As we know, Sam Hornish is our new champion for the year 2001. Buddy Lazier has secured the second position. But the race for third is an interesting race. Scott Sharp sits in third position right now, but Billy Boat and Felipe Giafoni only 20 points behind him. That's going to be a very, very tight race today. And, you know, despite the fact that the championship has already been decided, these guys all have a lot of pride and a lot of egos, and I think all that's going to be on the line today. Also, as Jerry Punch alluded to earlier, the resurfacing of the track. Now, Larry, that's going to create some challenges for the drivers, yes?
Well, it's going to change some things. It's a granite-based pavement that they put on here, so it is going to be faster and it's much smoother. They built bridges across the corners so that there's no dip in them like there were over the tunnels before. So the racetrack is smoother, it's faster, and aren't any bumps, so we should see some great racing.
So the cars and the drivers are down below us. In just a few moments, we're going to get the command to start engines, and in a few moments after that, we'll be underway for the Chevy 500. ESPN's coverage of the Indy Racing League Chevy 500 is being brought to you by Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile dealers. By Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light. Are you ready for a cold one? And by Delphi Automotive Systems. Driving tomorrow's technology. Well, there was even a wedding held earlier today. Of course, this race was postponed and therefore caused some problems with the official track photographer here at Texas Motor Speedway. They were married. He and his lovely bride were married earlier today, so congratulations to them. The command has gone out. The cars, in fact, are rolling. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's race. Sam Hornish Jr. on the pole. They are lined up according to entrant points. Buddy Lazier, last year's champion, alongside. Scott Sharp is in the inside of row 2, and Billy Boat, who won here in '98, is alongside. Third row, Eliseo Salazar and Felipe Giafoni, the current Rookie of the Year. Allens are juniors in row number 4, along with Eddie Cheever Jr. In the 5th row, it's Jacques Lazier and Jeff Ward, who was fastest in practice with the Infiniti engine. The 6th row, Buzz Calkins and Ayrton Dare. Row number 7, Greg Ray and Robbie Buell. The 8th row, Shiggy Atori and Mark Dismore. Row number 9, Anthony Lazaro and Sarah Fisher. The 10th row is Robbie McGee and Didier Andre. In the 11th row, Billy Rowe and Chris Meninga. Row number 12, Rick Treadway and Laurent Redon. And the 13th row has John Herr. But as you heard us say earlier, that lineup has been changed from earlier today, as Greg Ray's car will be back at the tail of the field for the start of the event. Let's take a look at what we'll be doing here this afternoon. We're going to be racing 200 laps. That's 300 miles. Winner in the June race was Scott Sharp. The turns banked at 24 degrees. The tri-oval at 5. It is one of the most competitive racetracks that the Indy Racing League competes on. And throughout the day, we'll be keeping track of these stories. We'll be looking for Scott Sharp, Eddie Cheever Jr., and Greg Ray to continue their intense battle that they had here in June. As Larry Rice mentioned, the surface is brand new. It's a granite-based instead of limestone, and so we don't have a real feel for tire wear and abrasion. We'll keep a tight look on that as we go through the afternoon. And, of course, we do have that battle for third position in the point standings. Let's go down to Vince Welch.
Well, as noted earlier, the A.J. Foyt car driven by Greg Ray was crashed in the morning session. It was totaled. They had to take that car out of the mix today, and the only car A.J. Foyt had available was the 41 car that Robbie Gordon had driven at the Indianapolis 500. The problem lies in the fact that Greg Ray will be driving an Infinity-powered car today, and that Dallara was built for an Oldsmobile power plant. So in what would normally take 3 weeks, possibly, as A.J. Foyt said that it took the team to get this current car ready to go, they did it in 5 hours, putting the Infinity engine in a Dallara car that was ready to go for this race today. An unbelievable effort from the A.J. Foyt Motorsports team today. So keep an eye on Greg Ray and see how that car holds up this afternoon.
And Vince, one of the luxuries for Panther Racing and Sam Hornish Jr. and the fact that they've already wrapped up the championship is there's no pressure today. In fact, they can even experiment a little bit. And the crew just told me a moment ago they are going to push the envelope. They would never do this if they were chasing points, but here's what they've done. They have put a power plant in this car which they have added 35 horsepower to. They said this thing may not make it the full 200 laps, but while it's out there, it should be a rocket.
As you can see, a Corvette is at the front of the field. There was an Oldsmobile out there. It pulled off the track. This is symbolism because, as I told you, this is the last race for the Oldsmobile engine, and the Chevy Indy V8 will be the power plant from General Motors beginning next year. And so a Chevy Corvette is the pace car as it leads them down for the start of the race. 25 cars getting set to go 200 laps at Texas Motor Speedway. The final race of the 2001 season is underway, and Sam Hornish jumps out to a big lead as they head toward turn 1.
With 35 extra horsepower, he should jump out to an early lead, and he should just be able to run away from everybody.
Well, these are going to be brand new engines next year. It's not going to be a rehashed Oldsmobile. It's going to be a brand new Chevrolet engine. This has probably got some of the pieces and parts in it that they're thinking about using next year.
On board with Buddy Lazier as he goes outside of Hornish. Oh, and we have a problem here on the front stretch as Billy Boats hits the wall and spins. And we also have Sarah Fisher up against the wall in turn number 4. So a couple of incidents here in the very first lap of the race. Billy Boat just simply ran out of room and got up against the wall. So this is his second crash of the day here at Texas Motor Speedway. His car is down in the grass right beyond the start-finish line. Sarah Fisher's car is up in the middle of the racetrack there in turn number 4.
Well, Sarah Fisher reporting on her radio there that she's fine, and you can see the damage to the front end of her car and on that right front suspension pieces. And on Billy Boat's car, it appeared to me that there doesn't seem to be much damage to the car. Merely the cover on the nose of the car that covers up the front suspension seems to be missing right here. There's just a plastic cover goes right there.
Yeah, that probably blew off when he got turned around backwards, but for whatever reason, they might not have had it fastened down as well as they probably should have.
Well, his car is being pushed, as you can see, by some track safety workers, whereas Sarah Fisher's car will need more help. It's going to have to require the use of a wrecker to get it from the racetrack, as Sarah has jumped out of the car, is shaking her head. She's okay. She jumps in to the pace truck along with the medical director of the Indy Racing League, Dr. Henry Bach, and will obviously be checked over at the infield care center, but appears to be in good shape.
Well, we saw from the in-car cameras that they were running very, very close to each other. Buddy Lazier almost touched wheels with Sam Hornish there on that first lap. And while we were watching all that excitement, there were lots of things happening back behind them.
All right, let's take a look from onboard Sarah Fisher's car, and we'll see if we can determine what happened to her.
Well, she just lost it.
Yeah, the back end just came around on her, and bam, she was in the wall pretty hard with that right front corner. So very tough deal for her. And this looks like...
And this is Eddie Cheever just missing Billy Boat as he slid from the outside to the inside of the racetrack.
And he was very lucky because he was hard on the brakes, you could see. And there's Sarah again. Got down, spun that thing around, just hit with the right front corner and hit pretty hard. She's definitely going to be done for the day.
First lap of the race, corner number 3, cold tires is pretty easy to do, isn't it, Larry?
Well, it is easy to do, and remember, this is a brand new surface. They're not really, they don't have any experience on this surface, and it seems to be, when it's colder, it is pretty slick at this particular racetrack.
Down to Vince.
Well, the shock cover obviously is missing, and a team member has already gone to the garage to get one off of the backup car. But the good news is that there looks to be no other significant structural damage to the 98 Curb Records machine. Billy Boat is still in the car. They've made a bit of a wing adjustment, but other than the front shock cover being missing, there is no other visible damage to the race car. So Billy Boat looks as though he may have dodged a bullet here in the early going.
And a lot of other people dodged a bullet too, because he was up near the front of the field when the problem occurred and spun across the racetrack, and luckily everybody that was coming along behind him at almost 200 miles an hour was able to avoid him. Now they got the shock cover, the new one, on, and it looks like Billy Boat will continue to be able to race here this afternoon. However, we can't say the same about Sarah Fisher, as her suspension is badly damaged on that car. We'll take a break and be back in a moment at Texas. Stay with us. ESPN's coverage of the Indy Racing League Chevy 500 is being brought to you by Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile dealers. By Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light. Are you ready for a cold one? And by Delphi Automotive Systems, driving tomorrow's technology. Well, the race is still under caution here at Texas Motor Speedway due to a couple of incidents involving Billy Boat here on the front stretch and Sarah Fisher over in turn number 4. And another driver who's having all kinds of problems is Felipe Giafoni.
Well, I'm not sure what's going on. Our scoring is showing him down, but he's on the racetrack, so I think maybe there's a problem with something in the scoring system here, because he is still on the racetrack. We were looking for him while we were at commercial break, and they're showing him down a couple laps, but he is still on there and running in pace, I believe.
Well, this is the 7th DNF of the season for Sarah Fisher. She started off the year with a great finish at Homestead, a runner-up finish, her best ever in the Indy Racing League, and things have just kind of spiraled downward from there. And it's unfortunate that Sarah has to be out of this race so early. On board here was Scott Sharp, as he is running in 3rd spot right now behind Sam Hornish and Buddy Lazier. While we clean up the racetrack over in turn number 4, gives us an opportunity to take another commercial break from Texas Motor Speedway and the Chevy 500. The flag man giving the field the indication that next time around we'll be going green and getting this race back underway. Again, caution because of an incident involving both Sarah Fisher, in separate incidents, Sarah Fisher and Billy Boat. Jerry?
And Sarah, it looked like you had no warning whatsoever. It looked like you just snapped around on you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if something hit me or what. I really don't know what happened because it was so quick. But, you know, we've had a pretty awful sophomore year, and to have Meade and Kroger and Menards behind us all the way, it's been great.
Any chance at all of getting it fixed? I saw Derek and the guys pulling some of the carts out, maybe to look at it.
I don't know. I mean, it tore the whole right front off, and it tore the nose cone off, so I don't know how they can do it, if they can, but if they could, it'd be great.
Okay, Sarah Fisher, not a great way. She turned 21 just 3 days ago. Not a very special birthday party here at Texas.
On the racetrack, Buddy Lazier wants the lead. He wanted it before the caution came out. He wants it again, and boy, he and Sam Hornish crossed the line almost at a dead heat that lap. Now they continue to run side by side all the way through 1 and 2 down the backstretch.
Well, it looks like this new surface isn't going to disappoint. They're going too wide all the way around the track.
And Eddie Gossage did mention in our little meeting earlier in the week, he said, you know, sometimes when you resurface things, you lose all that raceability. Well, luckily for him and us, that didn't happen.
Eddie Gossage is the general manager here at Texas Motor Speedway, and he and his team do a fine job of getting this racetrack in shape, and they've spent millions of dollars repaving it every now and then, but they have got it in fine shape here for this event.
Guys, we've got the top 6 cars all within a second of each other on the track. That's unbelievable.
And the top 9 are running about a second
and a half.
Man, oh man. It's Hornish continuing to lead. The battle now is for 3rd position as Eliseo Salazar and A.J. Foyt's car comes up on the rear wing of Scott Sharp. And right behind Salazar is Jacques Lazier. Now, we mentioned Felipe Giafoni a little bit earlier, saying that he may be having problems. That was not the case. There was a scoring snafu. That has been taken care of, and Felipe Giafoni is very much on pace, running in 6th position as we go on board with Jacques Lazier.
Boy, he's driving the wheels off that thing. He's done that every race car he's been in all summer long. He's just made it look like a magic race car. And once again, he's moving towards the front and doing it very quickly. He started back in 9th spot.
And is already up to 4th and about to take 3rd position, or trying to take 3rd from Scott Sharp. And a car going slowly down the front stretch into turn number 1. I don't think it's going to bring out a caution. It is Billy Rowe, number 81. He is off the pace, but is also out of the way. As the racing continues, there's Sam Hornish, who now has just a slight advantage over 2nd and 3rd Lazier. And Lazier, as they battle for 2nd. Jacques up high and Buddy's down low.
Everybody else running that low line, trying to stay down there, keep guys from getting under him. So he says, heck with you. I'm just going to go to the outside and blow by you that way.
Close moment for Jeff Ward as he got oh, and look at this, how close Scott Sharp and Buddy Lazier are to touching wheels as they go down the backstretch.
And Scott Sharp just moved on by. Sometimes when you're running that low line, you pinch the car a little bit. You kill maybe a few RPMs, and by running the outside, you keep the RPMs a little higher and get a better run down the straightaway. So sometimes there's an advantage to that outside.
And Jacques Lazier now is going for the lead as he's pulled to the outside of Sam Hornish in the 2nd corner. Let's see, while they come out down the backstretch, they're still wheel to wheel down here. And Hornish is trying to hold off the challenge, but Lazier has it for the moment.
And you can see the shorter way around through the corners, he does lose a little ground there, Jacques Lazier does. But then going back into the corners, down the straightaway, he gets a little more of a run because he has a little better run down the straightaway.
Lazier, of course, won his first and only so far Indy Racing League event at Chicagoland Speedway a few races ago. Robbie Buell is another driver who's making a nice move. He started 14th, is up to 6th position. And Lazier still battles for the lead with Sam.
He's going to take that shot again on the outside through 1 and 2. Again, you can see that Hornish gains a little bit going through the corners just because he goes a shorter distance.
There you see on the move, Jacques Lazier up 7, so is Buell. Ray Dawn has gained 7 positions. John Herb 5, and Greg Ray, who started at the back of the field, has moved up 5 positions from 25th to 20th.
Well, if A.J. Foyt got that car anywhere near close, Greg Ray's, I think he came back here with a vengeance. He had something to prove, and he wants to win this race awfully bad.
We're on board with Scott Sharp and looking up ahead to Sam Hornish on the left and Jacques Lazier on the right as they battle for the lead at Texas Motor Speedway.
And you guys see what's going on the track here. Scott Sharp in 3rd place, Felipe Giafoni in 4th. Giafoni would love to get that 3rd place in the season standings from him. See if he can do it.
Jeff Ward just brushed the wall coming out of 4. You remember I told you a few minutes ago he came close. Well, this time he did brush the wall and has brought that Farm Aid sponsored car to the apron of the racetrack. He was the fastest of all in the practice period that they had earlier today, the only practice period for these cars this weekend.
Bob, and Jeff Ward felt as though he was in a car that could win this race today, so that's an incredibly disappointing turn of events for him. This is his first time in the Infinity Power, and he came off after practice and and said, this is a good race car with a strong power plant. And Mitch Davis, his team manager, told me beforehand, they think they had a car that was capable of winning it today. Not so, though, when you brush the wall.
Well, Robbie Buell's made a nice move, but so has Felipe Giafone. He's in that green car with the red nose. He's in there at third position. Now in fourth spot, the battle is between Robbie Buell and Scott Sharp.
The first 7 cars just running incredibly close. Salazar and Cheever being in 6th and 7th. All of them in a group have kind of pulled away from everybody else.
You know, I got to tell you guys, I love coming here to Texas in this track. This track it produces the most exciting races I've ever seen anywhere. It's unbelievable.
It really is, and every time we come here, we think, can it be as good as the one that we saw previous? And every time it is.
I mean, this one picked up right where the last one left off. I mean, the players are different, but it's the same deal.
Yep. There are the top, 7 running right together. They're separated by less than a second. Hornish, Lazier, Giafone, Buell, Sharp, Salazar, and Cheever, the top 7, and they're within a second of each other. I don't think Jacques has led a lap yet. Yeah, maybe he has, but...
Well, he keeps getting he gets in the draft, he gets that run, he gets up beside him, but he just can't quite get far enough around. He gets to the corner, he loses about a half a car length going through the corner, and then he's out of the draft, so then he has to fall back in behind. So he's ever so close to being able to do it. He just hasn't been able to pull it off yet.
There have been 6 official lead changes already, about 12 unofficial. Of course, the official and the lead changes are only at the line. You saw Jeff Ward climb out of his car. He did make it, of course, back to the pit area, but he has climbed out, and apparently it's an early in for Jeff Ward in the Infinity-powered car.
And Robbie Buell just went around Felipe Giafone. He did a nice move. He stayed up behind him, got a good draft behind him, that just dropped down underneath there and drove right around him. Great bit of driving from Robbie Buell.
So now it is Hornish, Jacques Lazier, Robbie Buell, and Felipe Giafone that are the top 4. Dr. Jerry Punch is down with Jeff.
And Jeff climbing out, getting the helmet off where he can hear us here. What a tough break, as you heard just a little bit ago. He was one of the quickest cars at all in the happy hour session with this Infinity engine. And Jeff, I know it's going to be a huge disappointment. You were so quick this morning with this Infinity. What happened?
Yeah, it's real unfortunate. We had a really good car, just kind of staying back and staying out of trouble. But unfortunately, I got in trouble. Eddie came up just a little bit and the car floated, and I just touched the outside wall. So it's unfortunate. The car was working great. But we'll get ready for next year.
All right, the finale of the season. Jeff Ward calls it a year, but he'll roar back next year, Bob.
Well, of course, Heritage Motorsports is in his first year in the Indy Racing League with John Meekum III and Jim Rathman Jr., the principals. And, oh, man, I'm telling you that look how close Lazier and Hornish are. They've got a slower car up ahead. They're going to have to take evasive action. And how is this going to work out?
Well, it looks like he's going to give him room. Jacques Lazier could have used that car as a pick. He could have forced him low, but he gave him plenty of room a little early in the race to be doing anything quite that foolish.
So Hornish continues to lead over Jacques Lazier and Robbie Buell and Giafone and Salazar. Clear traffic up ahead of these 2 now as they have passed one car. That was Rick Treadway. So 31 laps of 200 completed here at Texas Motor Speedway. It is a all-out duel between Sam Hornish and Jacques Lazier. There are the top 6 cars, folks. Top 6 running within a half a second of each other. They are Hornish, Jacques Lazier, Buell, Giafone, Salazar, and Eddie Cheever is also right up there as we are on board with him now.
Yeah, I think Cheever's running a really smart race. He's staying with the leaders. He hasn't really got there and mixed it up because, as we've seen, Robbie Buell has come all the way from 14th to 3rd, but now then the 2 guys in front of him are running side by side. So Eddie's thinking, maybe I'll just stay back here and let them do that for a while.
Larry, and that was exactly the strategy for Team Cheever today. They wanted to make sure that they kept sight of the leaders, but understanding of the fact that the race would not be won in the first 50 laps. So Cheever just wanted to stay in the mix, stay with an close eye on those who are running at the front of the pack, and then wait as the race progresses for the opportunity to make his move in the later stages.
And another driver who's made a big move up through the field is Mark Dismore. He started 16th. He's running in 8th, just 2 places behind Eddie Cheever now. Scott Sharp in between the 2 of them. Those are 2 of the combatants that were going at it in June, Bob.
We're on board here with Mark Dismore. He has a lot of traffic up ahead of him.
Yeah, and if there's a hard luck guy in this series this year, it had to be Mark Dismore. He had a great chance to win the Indianapolis 500 about 2 or 3 other races, and just things went wrong. That's all.
Shigeatori brings his car onto pit road, and the crew goes to work on that. Meanwhile, here's Lazier leading Hornish, and now Robbie Buell comes up to the outside of Sam Hornish to challenge him for the second position. As you'll notice, so many of the cars are carrying American flags and patriotic slogans on their cars today. Everybody here is very much mindful of what happened on September 11th and what still will happen in the coming months.
And you know, Bob, 2 of the people who work very hard for us here at ABC Sports on the IRL broadcast, Les McTaggart and Judy Hawkins, were actually flying back from London on September the 11th, and they wanted to send a very special thank you to all the people of Gambo, Newfoundland, for taking such good care of them as their planes got diverted there. So thank you to the people of Newfoundland.
For a week or so there.
They were there for about 5 days, staying in the. They stayed in the Salvation Army Church on little cots that they brought in, and you know the stories of people you know, helping other people out and opening their homes to people and like that. I mean, the stories are endless, and you know, so thank you to the people of Gambo, Newfoundland.
Yep. 10%, by the way, of the purse for this race here at Texas Motor Speedway will be donated to the American Red Cross, and Eddie Cheever has already made it known that he will give $20,000 of his prize money in this race to the American Red Cross. So there's going to be a lot of people benefiting from the great racing that we are seeing here this afternoon. Vince?
A driver who is definitely on the move today, Robbie McGee. He started 19th, and he's all the way up to 9th. Texas Motor Speedway has some good memories and some bad memories. He was second here in June last year when he lost to Scott Sharp in the closest finish in Indy Racing League history. And in June of this year, he was in an accident, suffered a broken left leg, a separated shoulder, and a cracked ribs. Tuesday, he'll have a follow-up surgery on that left leg. So Texas Motor Speedway is a place that Robbie McGee knows very well, and he's hoping to have a good, strong finish today as you see Mark Dismore make his way into the pit lane.
Well, here's more hard luck for Mark Dismore, and this appears to be not a routine pit stop by any means.
No, he reported on his radio that the car just died, and
check this out first. Let's put it, fuel in it, start the car, see when it started. We'll do
well, they have refueled it, but there are definitely big problems for Mark Dismore.
And Bob Jenkins, a moment ago, they were commenting about what great fuel mileage they were getting. They had no clue whatsoever they were going to have a problem, and then suddenly Mark said it just shut off. As he was coming into turn 3, he backed off and headed down pit road. The crew did not see him or hear him until he was almost on pit road. And now he sits here in the pits, sort of the epitome of the kind of year Mark Dismore has had.
Well, Mark's first pole was here at Texas in June of '99. His first and only win was in October of '99. But he's on the sidelines here this afternoon.
And look at Sam Hornish. He doesn't give up easy. He comes right back, sneaks underneath Jacques Lazier, and takes the lead once again.
And 12 lead changes so far. Hornish and Lazier are up front. That's Ricky Treadway just ahead.
Now, this is going to get dicey with the lap traffic. We're going to have to see what everybody chooses to do. And Jacques decides he's going to just fall in behind and go to the outside.
Treadway showing sponsorship on that car here this afternoon from Big Tex, which is the leading manufacturer of utility trailers in the United States. But they're helping Ricky Treadway here in this event.
What exactly is a utility trailer, Bob?
Something you hook on the back of your car and haul stuff in.
As opposed to a recreational trailer or a horse trailer, sort of a...
I suppose, yeah.
Okay. I was just looking for clarification. All right. Look at Robbie McGee is filling up the mirrors of Buddy Lazier right now. That could get interesting.
Yes, and they're going to be having to make pit stops here very shortly. It's they're 48 laps, so it won't be long before they're going to have to start thinking about going into the pits. And under green flag conditions, those pit guys are very, very important.
Well, we got off to a slow start here with Billy Boat spinning on the front stretch and Sarah Fisher hitting the wall over in turn number 4. But since then, the green has been out, and we are almost at the 1/4 mark already as 50 laps will be completed next time around. Well, ESPN2 is giving you the chance to win a ride in an Indy car and a trip to next year's Indianapolis 500. We'll be revealing the Indy All-Access Sweepstakes Driver of the Day later in today's race, so stay tuned.
And here you go, Bob. You see right here, we got Eddie Cheever, and to the outside of him, Scott Sharp. You remember that ferocious battle that engaged in June, I suppose would be the correct word. And boy, that left Eddie a little hot under the collar, didn't it?
Well, it's been, yeah, a very controversial race, that one in June, and it looks like that these two are ready to go at it again. Back up front, meanwhile, it's Lazier still leading Hornish. We have had now 13 lead changes in the first 51 laps of the race.
You were talking about the pit windows, and those pit windows are closing because Jacques Lazier will be coming in the next couple of laps. You can expect the same from Sam Hornish and also Robbie Buell, who's running third. So the pit crews will be the ones maybe putting their team out in front today.
Ayrton Dare has made a pit stop. He is back in competition.
The pit boxes are 10 or 4 feet longer now than they were the last time we were here. So now they've got 40-foot pit boxes, which will help them, especially on the yellow flag pit stops.
The one tricky aspect of that, though, Larry, is because the pit boxes are a bit longer, the pit speed window starts earlier on pit lane, so teams have less time, or drivers have less time to get down to that 60-mile-per-hour speed limit when they come around turn 4 and make their way onto pit lane. So we'll see if there are maybe any pit speed violations today.
Here comes Jacques Lazier, Vince. Eliseo Salazar has relinquished his position in the top 10, and he's coming in. We see several other cars slowing, dropping to the apron of the racetrack, and coming in for their first pit stop.
That's
Robbie Buell, is right behind Jacques Lazier, and looks like Buddy Lazier is also coming in for a stop. And we're on board with Buddy.
And then there's Jacques Lazier coming in and the Team Menard crew. Just tires and fuel, no changes to the car. Oh, they are going to make a wing adjustment to the chassis, although Jacques had reported that the car was comfortable. They did make a front wing adjustment.
Yeah, he was told on the radio. Somebody, the left rear tire changer, did not get the left rear on, but it came off as he left the pit area. Well, this is going to pretty much kill his chances of winning this race. What a tough break for Jacques Lazier.
And because, of course, there's a loose tire on the racetrack, the caution comes out, and that's going to allow Sam Hornish to come in under the caution.
Wow, what a break for Hornish, and what a horrible break for Lazier. That's unbelievable.
Well, it's a terrible break for a lot of guys. There are a lot of guys who made pit stops who are going to lose a lap. So
yeah.
Let's take another look. You can see it looks like it was pretty routine. He just came off that pit stop, headed back out onto the racetrack. Everybody seemed to be happy, just cleaning things up in the pit area. But as he got down to the end, you can see that tire just roll off. And he had no choice but just to stay on the inside and go back around and get another one put on.
And here, once again, is...
Watch back here. This is the tire that came off.
You can see he was still working on it.
He was still working on it, and they told him to go. You're right. It looked like he was having trouble getting the nut threaded on there, and still it didn't even have the wrench on it. So what a tough break.
Oh, boy, that's unfortunate. That's really... here it is. Oh, here he comes.
Yeah, they're going to put it on jacks. They're going to put the tire back on, but he's going to lose one, maybe 2 laps. At least the yellow flag came out, so he might not be any worse off than 1 lap.
So all of those guys who pitted just before the yellow, Larry Rice, most of them, because I noticed when Ayrton Dare came out, he was a lap down. So actually coming into the pits and pitting and leaving the pits left most of those drivers a lap down, and now they may be a lap down.
Oh, absolutely, they're going to be a lap down. They're going to have to use some good pit strategy now to get back on that lead lap. But they're going to be a lap down after this round of pit stops, no doubt about it.
Jerry Punch is with Mark Dismore.
And as you said, Bob, this track had been very good to Mark Dismore in the past. A pole and a win during the 1999 season, and now he has climbed out of his Kelly Racing machine. We'll walk over here and get a quick comment from Mark. And Mark, a tough day for you. What put you out?
Looks like a fuel pump drive broke on it, Jerry. I don't know what to say. My mom and dad got robbed at gunpoint this past week, and I want to say hi to them. And I love you guys, and I hope you're doing better with all that. And hi to my family. And my wife stayed back there to help my mom she's just distraught over that. And I love you, honey, and I'll see everybody tomorrow.
You have to just say, I am so glad this year is over.
Yeah, I mean, this has been the year from hell, Jerry, for a lot of reasons. This is a drop in the ocean here. I mean, the World Trade Center, I just want to say God bless to all those people. And, this isn't anything. This is just entertainment, really. And that stuff is, I want to say hi to everybody in the military. I think, God bless all of them. And they're the ones out there really doing the important stuff. What we're doing is trivial, really, in the scheme of things. And, you know, you're right. I'm ready to tear that calendar up, and I can't wait for January the 1st.
Okay, Mark Dismore calling it a year and putting it all in perspective. Bob?
And words well said by Mark, and we say hello to Donna, his wife, and his mom and dad back there in Indiana. Well, the pit stops now by those who had not pitted prior to the caution are being made and in fact completed. Sam Hornish was on pit road when the caution came out. He drove through and now has come back in to complete the pit stop. So we'll take a break again and be back at Texas Motor Speedway in a moment. It's the Chevy 500, the 13th and final race for the Indy Racing League in 2001 here at Texas Motor Speedway. Felipe Giaffoni's the leader of the race. Al Unser Jr. is second, followed by Sam Hornish, Anthony Lazaro, and Didier Andre. Buzz Calkins is sixth, and John Herb, Robbie McGee, Scott Sharp, and Eddie Cheever. Now, although those guys did go a lap down because of the rule in the Indy Racing League, the pace car picks up the leader. And that's Giaffoni, and everybody in front of Giaffoni gets to go around the track and join the back of the field. And so Scott Sharp, Eddie Cheever, Robbie Buell, Buddy Lazier, Eliseo Salazar, and Chris Meninga all get their lap back, and there are 14 cars on the lead lap. Saturday at 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2, the Mississippi State Bulldogs face a tough Auburn defense at 7:45 on ESPN. Running back Damon Anderson and the Miracle Northwestern Wildcats host Big Ten rival Ohio State. College football on ESPN2 and ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Big football game being played not too far from here, Oklahoma and Texas, but I tell you, it did not stop a lot of race fans, thousands of race fans, from showing up here at Texas Motor Speedway for this event.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's a huge crowd, much better than a lot of people had expected, really. You know, football country is Texas, and they thought a lot of people might pass this up and go to the football game, but a lot of them showed up. And while we've got a second, we just want to say hello to Alex Zanardi. You know, he had a tough break over in Germany, and we just want to say our thoughts and prayers with him as well.
Yeah, there sure isn't a race person or a race fan anywhere that doesn't have Alex Zanardi on their mind. Let's get out of Vince.
Well, Eddie Cheever came in and they made a pretty significant tire pressure change. He developed a blister in the center of his right rear tire, so that's something that Cheever Indy Racing is going to be keeping an eye on today, and they did make that pressure adjustment, so we'll see if that helps them out a little bit. Also, you might notice some artwork in the background here. Eddie's daughter Estelle wishing her dad good luck, saying, "Go Dad, you're a winner." This one's been on for a couple of races, so the colors are starting to run, but she still loves Dad even though it's been a couple of races. So we'll see how Eddie fares today with a little good luck charm from his daughter.
Okay, Vince, we got to mention it very quickly. Congratulations to your son Dylan, who won his first quarter midget race not too long ago, huh?
Well, he did, and racing again today, and I got a call from him earlier, and he said, "Dad, I qualified 6th."
Oh, man.
He wasn't too pleased, but hopefully the news will get better.
Way to go, Dylan. Okay, getting set to go back to racing here at Texas Motor Speedway. They will come down this time and get the 1-to-go signal. We're on board with Eddie Cheever right now, who's shown in the 10th position. There is John Herb, who is looking really good here. His position is being shown as 7th at the moment.
Yeah, and he bought that car just recently, started his own team, and this is only about the second time out for it, I think. So they've made some progress fairly quickly.
It is his 7th IRL start overall, but his 2nd as an owner and the driver. John has a tie, if you will, to this area of the country. He played football at SMU in Dallas. So Felipe Giaffoni is the leader of the race as they get lined up to go back to competition.
Isn't that where Bob Goodrich played football too? Our usual producer at SMU. He played there as well. That's right.
Yep.
Well, remember, they talk about Cheever having the blister in his tire. This is brand new pavement. They've never raced on it. New pavement is always very abrasive, so tire wear and how the tires would react is always going to be a concern, especially when you're coming here for the first time.
Green flag.
And here comes the field out of corner number 4, and the green comes out. We are back to racing. Now, the second car in line is Greg Ray. He is 2 laps down to the field.
And Giaffoni got a great start. You know, winning this race would be such a great finish to the unbelievable rookie season that he has had this year in the IRL.
He has had a great year. His best career finish was here at Texas. And he finished second.
And Hornish already on the move. He is in third place. Now he's up to second. He just got around Unser, so he's already moved back up into second. And because he pulled through and went ahead and around and then pitted under the yellow, it enabled him to start up near the front instead of the back, which those guys who already had pitted had to do.
There is Hornish. Right behind him is Greg Ray, but he's being passed by a couple of cars.
And that's Anthony Nazaro who's running in third place right now in that red and yellow Sam Schmidt Motorsports car. Tony came out of Formula Atlantic. I used to watch him race at Formula Atlantic all the time. He's a great guy, and he's really excited to be getting a shot here in the IRL and driving for Sam Schmidt. He's racing well today.
Yep, it's his second drive for that team. He started 23rd and finished 18th at Gateway.
And Bob, I talked to Sam Smith this morning. He said the team, the people they've talked to sponsor-wise, everyone has been so impressed with Anthony Lazaro. He went to some hospitality functions yesterday and the day before. He said he's had 5 drivers this year. This young man may be the best overall as far as dealing with some of the potential sponsors. Could be good news for next year for Sam Smith Racing.
Well, with all due respect to the drivers that he has had, and they have been good, you also have to take... Oh, and Giafone has a problem, and Sam Hornish takes the lead, and there's smoke coming from Giafone's car.
Big time smoke coming out of that car, and that's never good news. That's blue smoke. Appears to be oil, and they're telling him now that he is smoking. So
that's too bad.
No caution yet, but Giafone drops to the inside and is passed by everybody else on the racetrack. A tough break for Felipe Giafone, who, as I said, has already wrapped up Rookie of the Year honors. In fact, it was pretty much no contest for him this year in winning the rookie honors.
Yeah, what a tough break. He had things really going his way. He'd run a great race. He had hung right with the leaders, was as fast as anybody on the racetrack, it appeared, but not going to be his day.
And just to pick up on the point that I was talking about, you also have to congratulate and take your hat off to Sam Schmidt, the owner of the team, because he has just done a magnificent job in his first year as an owner in the IRL.
Yeah, he's done a great job, and of course he's had some difficult luck, of course, with Davey Hamilton's big crash, and then he got Jacques Lazier to fill his shoes, and then Jacques moved over to the Menards team. He's really had some adversity to deal with, but I think he's just done a phenomenal job.
Jacques Lazier appears to be off the pace. Jacques Lazier is high on the racetrack, and he is off the pace.
What? All kinds of bad things happening here in this early going of this race. We're only on lap 71, and he's pulled down to the inside. Obviously, a major problem with him, and it's unrelated to that pit stop.
And he may have had contact with the wall coming out of corner number 4. That slowed him down, but anyway, he is slowed down the backstretch. So we've lost a couple of top contenders here in the last couple of laps, Giafone and Jacques Lazier. But look at the traffic now up front. We have 10 cars running within about 3.5 seconds of each other. 10 cars in 3.5 seconds. Let's take a look at Jacques Lazier as he came out of corner number 4 and see if he did get up into the outside fence.
That's Jacques Lazier on the outside in the blue car. You can see very, very high.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He definitely touched the wall there. You can see the car move as he touched the wall. And the suspension on these cars is very fragile. You can't, that didn't look like a very hard bump. But these A-arms and so forth are not built for any kind of contact, and even a slight amount like that has probably bent something in the suspension.
Well, they do have a major problem on the right rear, guys, and now they've asked Jacques Lazier to turn the car off, and a safety official is down here waving his arms, indicating no more. So we'll wait till Jacques gets out of the car and get the final explanation, but there's definitely a major problem on the right rear portion of the race car.
Guys, and Robbie Buell has worked his way up into 4th position, and he's right behind Al Unser Jr. Going to challenge him for that 3rd place.
Well, I'm just going to say this is an incredible bunch of cars running back of Sam Hornish. Lazaro, Al Unser Jr., Robbie Buell, Didier Andre, Scott Sharp, John Herb, Robbie McGee. It goes on and on. And there's also some lap cars in there. Laurent Redon is in that red and yellow car that is in the middle of the pack there. He, however, is 1 lap down in 15th spot. And look at this jockeying for position as Buell comes right through the middle.
Buell just drove right through the middle of him. That was unreal.
That moves him up to third place. Now he sets his sights on Lazaro, who's running in second place. There's Lazaro in the Sam Schmidt car, and Buell goes up on the high side of the racetrack. And is he going to be able to take second spot? Yes, he does.
And the Infinity power plants have been lightning quick here all weekend long. We were all talking yesterday about the fact that it was all Infinities up at the front of the time charts. And well, it looks like Robbie's car is dialed in.
What's it like to drive through traffic at that speed? Well, let's see here. As Eddie Cheever Jr. is out there in the middle of things.
And you can see that he's just taking the outside line going through the corner. He's picking his spots. He's being very cautious. Eddie at the last time was a little unhappy about some of the driving tactics here. So he's being very cautious back there in the back and picking his way. But it's very busy out there. When you've got two cars running side by side, there's no room for you to go. Although we saw Buell split to him a while ago. That just doesn't happen very often.
And if you take your time very long, you're going to get left behind, Vince.
Well, Jacques Lazier, a bad break with the tire not getting on in the pits. And then what happened there when you brushed the wall?
I just came out of turn 4, and it's pretty busy out there. A lot of cars running around, and just came up on the high side of somebody. They moved up a little bit, and I had nowhere to go and just barely nicked the wall. But it's enough. We bent 2 suspension pieces, so I don't know if we're going to try to put some stuff back on and go back out or what, but I think we're done for the day.
That's Jacques Lazier. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
And all that was missing from Felipe Giaffone's fabulous year was a win. It looked like you were getting closer to getting one today, but it's all over. What happened?
Yeah, we don't know yet. Something broke in the engine. It was a shame. I mean, last race we were pretty strong. This race we were pretty strong. Guys did a great job. Unfortunately, we couldn't finish again.
But what a fabulous year for Treadway Hubbard Racing.
Yeah, they did a great job. I mean, hopefully everything is going to go right for next year. We're going to be back here. But we'll see. Those type of things, it happens, you know, this is racing. And what it matters for me is that they gave me a good car and unfortunately couldn't finish.
Sensational rookie Felipe Giaffone. Bob?
Well, Sam Hornish Jr. has a huge lead of about 2.5 seconds, but behind him, they are all bunched up. And, ooh, Sam cuts the corner there a little close.
Goes dropped 2 wheels in the dirt right there.
Raise some dirt. Buell is second, then Lazaro, Allenzer Jr., Scott Sharp, McGee, Salazar, Andre Cheever, and Herb. Back here at Texas Motor Speedway, no, they are not up to speed. We are under caution again. No big problem. Chris Meninga, looks like the engine exploded on that car as he came down through the tri-oval and headed into turn number 1, and that brought out the caution. So Chris Meninga, who was on the lead lap running in 13th position in the Planet Hollywood car, is another retiree here in the first half of the race. 85 laps have been completed, and we are under our third caution of the day.
Yeah, and it appears that some of these guys are going to be making pit stops. I see all the pit stuff out on the racetrack. So even though it's not really time under this yellow, they're going to take advantage of it. It looks like Sam Hornish is one of them down there at the end of the pits. So he will be heading pit side here during this yellow.
Sam Hornish and the Pennzoil Panther team replacing the Panther logo, which is normally on the engine cover, with, of course, the American flag.
And Bob, remember, this Pennzoil Panther team won this race a year ago with Scott Goodyear in the seat. His final race with Panther, so they feel as though they've got this place figured out, and certainly Sam Hornish Jr. has shown it so far today. And maybe a tip of the cap to Rick Long and those at Speedway Motors, Speedway Engines, because they've not only given Sam Hornish a good engine all season long, but Buddy Lazier as well. Those two drivers 1-2 in the points, and they run with the Speedway Engines. And also Speedway Engines had 1-2 in the points last year. So these guys definitely have it figured out, and Sam Hornish Jr. hopes to continue that throughout the course of the day today as he comes in for this pit stop.
And that's a great point, Vince. Those guys, we talk a lot about the Infinity, but we're talking about the progress, because these engines, these Oldsmobiles have been dominant, and Rick Long Speedway Motors has been 1-2 for 2 years in a row.
And pit stops now being made as Sam Hornish, who is pitted at the end of pit road down toward pit out, gets his work completed. He moves along. So does Robbie Buell. It's an 8.6 second stop for Hornish and a 12.4 second pit stop for Robbie Buell. 87 laps completed here in the Chevy 500 at Texas Motor Speedway. Stay with us. We'll be right back. RPM tonight, the nightly source for motorsports news since 1996. A recap of all the motorsports headlines. Your nightly Sunday at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. John Kernan has the weekday forecast, or the show, I should say, at 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 3 Pacific on ESPN2. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Sam Hornish won the battle off pit road. Al Unser Jr. comes out in second position. Scott Sharp third. Aliseo Salazar fourth. Didier Andre in fifth spot. Robbie Buell, who was running second, comes out in sixth. So we have both of the Gallus cars, Al Unser Jr. and his teammate Didier Andre, running in the top 5. And there is Chris Miniga's Planet Hollywood car, which is being pushed back to the garage area. Jerry has an update.
Well, Bob Jenkins, Ron Himmelgarn is not here today, and he would like to be here. He actually owns the Chris Meninga car as well as the Buddy Lazier car. Ron is actually up in Michigan attending his daughter Amy's reception. Now, she was married back on August 18th out in Hawaii, but they put the reception off until the first week of October, figuring the season would be over and everyone in racing could come and be a part of that. Well, with the delay and this race postponed, Ron had to be there today, could not be here. Now, I know exactly what's happening at the reception. He's standing there with a little television set watching the race, screaming, "More wing, more wing." And the waiter is coming by and said, "Sir, you want more wings?" "Sure, we got more wings. We'll be happy to."
Oh, boy. Well, we wish...
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jerry Punch. Let's hear it.
Big hands, Doc.
Punch, you're 2 for 2 on the bad joke front, bro.
But welcome to the telecast, because we like to point that out whenever
you know, I never thought I'd say I miss Jack or Root, but...
That's cold, guys. That's really cold.
Oh, it's good to have Doc with us. Of course, he's the regular anchor announcer for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, which competed here last night, and because Jack had an obligation with ABC football.
Hence the happy hour reference in the pre-show, Jerry. Don't think you got away with that one.
Glad to have Dr. Jerry Punch with us. Okay, getting set to go back to green flag racing now. Hornish, Unser, Sharp, Salazar, and Andre are the top 5, and we will come down and complete lap number 91, so we'll be 9 laps from the halfway point when they get the green flag.
Here they come.
Green's out, green's out.
And this time, Little Al does not let Hornish get a jump. In fact, Al Unser Jr. stays right on his rear wing. He may be in a position to challenge for the lead here. Unser heads for the high side of the racetrack. Meanwhile, Scott Sharp closes in, and Eddie Cheever Jr. is on pit road.
He just radioed and said he thought his battery had gone dead. So he's, his luck continues to be bad here at this racetrack.
Here's the situation, guys. In his previous stop, he had just come in a few moments ago, and they got 4 tires and added fuel, and then they had a little bit of a methanol fire down here in the pit area. So they think that maybe they have had some wires that have gotten burned up, and indeed there is some smoke coming from the left side of the car, and the side pod is being removed. So we'll further update you on that, but I think it's going to come from that little methanol fire that they had here in the pit box just a short while ago.
Eddie Cheever Jr. had a bicycle ride around Texas Motor Speedway earlier with the wife of Bill Marshall, and she donated $2,100 to Speedway Children's Charities in exchange for that opportunity to take a ride around Texas Motor Speedway with Eddie Cheever, who, of course, traded in his duties as the analyst for the U.S. Grand Prix at Indianapolis last Sunday for his regular driving duties here this afternoon.
I thought he did a good job, and I thought you did a good job too, Bob Jenkins.
You did too, Jason, down there in the pit area.
Well, thank you, sir.
We had a good race at Indianapolis for Formula One.
Yes, we did.
All right, Hornish.
We got a good race right here, though, too, buddy. Let me tell you.
Salazar's there in 4th position. There he is. Right behind him is Robbie Buell and then Anthony Lazzaro.
All these first 5 cars trying to get some sort of a draft to get to the outside and make the pass. As Sharp moved out there, it looks like he's got company on the inside. So once you move out of line, you better be ready. Now then he's going to try the inside on Unser.
Scott Sharp looking for 2nd position. Moves Al Unser Jr. up to the middle groove and takes 2nd position. American flag being displayed on the rear wing of Little Al's car this afternoon. Now Scott Sharp back into 2nd position as he looks up toward Sam Hornish Jr., who so far has led 64 of the first 96 laps.
And Scott Sharp is back in the form we usually see him at here at this racetrack. He struggled a little bit early in the race, but every pit stop you make adjustments to try to make your car faster. Obviously, the changes that they've made on their 2 pit stops have helped that car tremendously.
And Larry, they dodged the bullet this morning. Just prior to putting that car on the grid, they found a fatigue crack in a scavenge fitting on the oil line coming in the outlet pipe. So they found that about 5 minutes before they were going to go out, had to really scramble Robert Perez and company to get this 8-car, the Delphi car, fixed. They got it repaired. Had they not found it, he would have run about 3 or 4 laps, started smoking, and had to call it a day.
Speaking of calling it a day, Eddie Cheever climbs out of his car. Tough break for him.
Top 5 cars running right together on board with Scott Sharp as he battles with the lead with Sam Hornish Jr. Buell, Unser, and Salazar are also right behind these 2. And then a little bit of racetrack back to Robbie McGee, who's in a good battle with Anthony Lazzaro for the 6th position.
I thought Robbie Buell was going to try and shoot the gap again like he did earlier.
Yeah, we can't do any of that bump drafting like they do in the stock cars here. Boy, you'd be in big trouble.
Buell has passed more cars than any other driver out there. He started 14th and moved up to the top 5 before the yellow on lap 55. On the restart, he came from 11th to 2nd. And on this latest restart, he has come from 6th position. So Robbie Buell is now up to 3rd spot.
And Bob, Robbie Buell, a little bit ago, complained that they might have a leaking CV joint. They came in during that last caution flag. We were in break a moment ago and checked it. Now, I've just checked in their pits. They have a slight leak in the right rear CV. That shouldn't be much of a concern, but we'll keep an eye on it.
We have completed now 101 laps as we go to Vince.
Eddie Cheever, I know you had such high hopes of winning this race today. What put you out?
I think we had a fire in the pits and it shorted all the electrical system and just burned out the battery and the alternator and everything else.
How about the racing out there? It's very tight.
Our car wasn't handling well. We were trying to get on top of it. It's a pity. I always like to end the season on a high note. This is not a high note, but not happened.
One of the high notes, though, is your $20,000 donation to the American Red Cross.
Yes, it's a small amount, but if everybody gives something, we'll get back to where we were not too long ago.
Thank you, Eddie. Eddie Cheever.
One of the real class individuals in the Indy Racing League, and Buddy Lazier is on pit road, and this is an unscheduled stop.
Boy, a lot of the guys who are the real favorites having trouble here before the halfway mark or right around the halfway mark of this race. So, yeah, it's not a scheduled pit stop. That's bad news for him.
And the word is that he has a very sour-sounding engine as he has brought the car to pit road, and we go back to the racetrack and jump on board again with Scott Sharp.
Yeah, and Salazar has moved right in behind Scott Sharp. So Salazar, who has been quietly in the mix most of the day, probably having one of the best runs he's had for a while. Well, he had a good run the last time out, actually.
Here at Texas, he finished 7th after a 9th place start. Here's a 3-wide situation. Scott Sharp has Buell to his right and Salazar to the left.
And Scott Sharp says, hang on, boys, I'm going to let you go.
And now Robbie McGee has come up to join this race. And again, less than a second separating the top 6 cars. There's Unser on the left and Robbie McGee on the right. McGee injured in a crash here at Texas earlier in the year, but has fought back, and obviously things are going his way here this afternoon. We mentioned that he's going to go in for surgery before too long to have some cleanup done. His mom, Janet, is hobbling around on crutches here this weekend. She was walking the family dog earlier in the week, and it got away from her and pulled her down, and she tore some ligaments, so she's hobbling around on crutches.
You know, Janet and Robbie are such wonderful, sweet people. It's just so funny that the two of them are hobbling around on crutches together. Who's taking care of who?
Yeah.
About 3 months, it'll be a heck of a fire sale on crutches around that place.
Here's a Chevy 500 race recap. 3 cautions. Sarah Fisher has been the only one that experienced rather hard contact with the wall. She is okay, but she damaged her car severely. That was on lap number 1. And 18 lead changes, 5 leaders in the first 108 laps. 31 lead changes, the record. Shiggy Hattori has gone back into the race after spending 71 laps on pit road.
Right now, you're riding along with Scott Sharp, and you can see when the cars get 2 by 2 in front of you, there's not much you can do except try to pick which one is going to win the battle and follow him through. You need to draft somebody, but you got to pick the right one to get behind.
It almost appears like when 2 cars are running abreast like that, the car that's trailing them gets into a lot of dirty air and doesn't handle quite as well.
And it allows the person up front running by himself to pull away just a little bit.
Yeah, and you notice going into turn number 1 where those shadows are, when you're watching from this angle, from the in-car camera, you can see that it looks dark in there, and it appears exactly the same way to the driver. So that sudden change does affect how well you can see, and it does. So you have to be a little more careful there than you would be anywhere else on the racetrack.
Down to Vince, who's with Buddy Lazier.
Well, Buddy Lazier was sitting in his car, and he just shook his head. Something sour with the motor?
Yeah, it just started. It just stopped running, really. I mean, I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's something in the motor for sure. It's turbo.
You guys were so good throughout the course of this season, but the last 3 races, you seem to have been a little snake bit.
Yeah, we haven't really had clean races. You know, those last 3 races we've had problems, and you know, these are mechanical animals, and but I've got a great team, and they really prepare a great race car. It's been a good season, 4 wins. We want to try to make it 5, but the car was really handling perfect, and just stopped running.
Still second in the points in 2001, Buddy Lazier.
Just wanted to mention that Willie Davis was Fabricator of the Year, the guy who fabricates for that team.
So 112 laps completed. Sam Hornish leads Robbie Buell, Eliseo Salazar, Scott Sharp, and Robbie McGee. Back in a moment. The battle is up front once again, and Robbie Buell goes to the front of the field, and that's the first time he's led all day, and he is our 6th leader that we have had. 19 now lead changes. Buell at the front, Hornish second.
Scott Sharp right behind him, but Robbie Buell really having a good run. Of course, he's had some good runs and had some bad luck. We said Mark Dismore had bad luck, but Buell's had the same sort of luck when he's been up front. He just hopes he can last these last 80-some laps and keep going.
And guys, at this point in time, we have 4 rookies in the top 10, which is unbelievable. We got Didier Andre, we got Tony Lazzaro, we got John Herb, and we've got oh, wait a minute, what happened to Ricky Treadway? Oh, Ricky Treadway just lost a couple of spots. Yeah, but he was up there for a while too, and that's, I mean, having 4 rookies in the top 10 is really, really great for the series.
And Jerry Scott Sharp is going to come up on Sam Hornish and make it a 3-way battle for the lead.
Bob, he probably will, but right now what I'm hearing here in his pitch is that he is being very patient and playing a waiting game. I asked Tom Kelly a moment ago, do you have more than you're showing? He said, oh yes. And Scott just said on the radio, the car is very, very good. He said, but we're looking at the big picture. We want to finish 3rd in the points. Only 39 points separate 3rd, where Scott is, from 6th, where Eliseo Salazar is. So we're going to bide our time, wait to the final laps, and then show you what we've got.
Okay, well, he's still very much at the front of the field, running in 3rd spot, right behind Robbie Buell and Sam Hornish.
Now, we've often thought when we come here, these guys run so hard for the whole race, you know, side by side. You know, we've seen them do that from the green flag right to the very end, and sometimes you wonder, well, you know, why would you take all those risks all that time? It made for great racing, and we loved every second of it. But sometimes, you know, you've got to use a little discretion. But not Sam Hornish. He's going to go for the lead again.
Hornish to the inside of Buell here in the quad oval area of the Speedway, and he takes the lead again by a nose, but Buell will not easily give it up. Robbie Buell's best finish here at Texas Motor Speedway was 6th. That came way back in 1998, but as you indicated, Larry, that does not give any indication of how well that car has run here and at other locations during the season.
Yeah, and Scott Sharp appears to just be sitting back there, like Jerry said, kind of waiting his time, because when he falls back a little bit, for whatever reason, he catches up with him pretty quickly.
Fastest car on the racetrack that last lap, according to our scoring, was Al Unser Jr., who's back in 7th position. Robbie Buell unofficially ran the 3rd quickest lap that last time around at just a little over 118 miles an hour.
Robbie McGee has moved up into 4th position. There's a little gap between he and Scott Sharp. There he is back there in that group back there coming around the corner. So he's a ways back, but he has moved into 4th spot.
We are just 10 lead changes away from a record in the IRL. First 124 laps, 21 lead changes at the line, and a lot more than that away from the line. We'll check the speeds as they come down next time. Right now they're down the backstretch. They're the top 3 who are separated by just car lengths. Then about 3.5 seconds back is 4th place Didier Andre and then Robbie McGee. Let's check the speeds here. Scott Sharp, the fastest of those 3 at a little over almost 219.5 miles an hour.
And you can see what it does when you get in a line and follow each other. That other group back there, they're running side by side. They're battling with each other. But when you get nose to tail and follow each other around the racetrack, you can pick up a mile or 2 an hour, and helps you pull away from the rest of that field.
Despite the fact that we have had 3 caution periods during this race, the average speed is 167.4 miles an hour. Take a look at the fastest laps today. Giafone, who dropped out earlier in the race after leading for 13 laps, has had the fastest lap of all at 2:21.5. Then Hornish and Cheever. Giafone, as you can see, had about 3 of the top 10 laps in the race before he dropped out.
You notice who had 2 of the other ones was Eddie Cheever, so those 2 front runners are gone.
Yeah, and it appears that Scott Sharp has lost contact with the 2 leaders, too. He's fallen back about 8 or 10 car lengths behind those guys and hasn't been able to close that gap in the last few laps.
May also be getting into a fuel conservation mode. I mean, we are 42 laps in with these leaders are all 42 laps into their fuel window. They may be trying to extend it a little bit.
Down to Vince Welch.
Well, Robbie Buell has been reporting that he's having a vibration in his right rear. Now, they're not sure if it's maybe the tires are starting to go away a little bit, or maybe it's a problem a little more significant. They're trying to decide whether or not they're going to bring him in sooner rather than later. I think at this point, although the pit crew is over the wall, they're looking at maybe another 5 laps before they bring him in. But keep an eye on the 24 car of Robbie Buell. It's not very comfortable right now.
Well, he is doing pretty well out there for a car that's not very comfortable. But the thing you don't want to happen, if you do have a blistered tire for some reason, you don't want to stay out there and blow that tire and ruin your day. Even though it's probably 10 laps before they would expect to come in, it might be better to short pit, bring it in 5 laps early rather than take the chance.
How far can these guys stretch it on fuel today, Larry? How many laps is the outside of the window?
You make the call, we'll bring you in. We have to make a pit stop to get in after this one.
Oh, well, asked and answered, I suppose.
Yeah, they're going to let him make the pit stop. To answer your question, you can probably, if you want to push it, you can get close to 60 laps, I would imagine.
Billy Boat is on pit road. He is many laps down because of his spin in the first lap of the race, coming down to complete lap number 1. He's shown in 15th position. We've had some rather serious attrition here this afternoon, perhaps as much as we've seen in just about any race this year, as Eddie Cheever, Jacques Lazier, Giafone, Rode, Dismore, Ward, Fisher, and Meninga all are out of competition. 16 cars remain in the race, and 10 of them are on the lead lap. And Jerry has an update on Scott Sharp.
Well, a moment ago, Larry Rice mentioned that Scott Sharp had lost contact with the leaders. And, Larry, you're exactly right for the reason. What he is doing is backing off, and they're looking very carefully at the fuel mileage. What we are being told here by Robert Perez and Tom Kelly in the Sharp pits and the Delphi pits, they will come in about 6 or 7 laps around lap 139 or 140, and that will be their final stop of the day. Backing off, lap pitting in about 5 or 6 laps, and then running to the checkered flag.
All right, we'll keep an eye on Robbie Buell up front because he is scheduled for a pit stop. He could be, yep, he's coming in right now. Drops down off the banking in turn number 3 and heads for his pit area. So that's going to give the lead back to Sam Hornish Jr. as Buell drops down below the 60-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Interesting point. Buell said he has to make 2 pit stops, so he stopped now. Sharp, if he pits on lap 40, he's got to go 60 laps on his last pit, and that's their plan. 1 more pit stop. That'll be interesting to see.
Robbie Buell was going to come in about another 10 laps anyway, so this stop is one that they would rather have not maybe made under green, but one they knew they were going to have to make anyway. Concentrate there on the right rear tire changer. His name is Gary Pennison, changing the right rear today in place of Brian Franzosi, who is the normal tire changer, but he's in the Air Force Reserves, and he's been called to active duty. So Brian Franzosi not with the team today. Gary Pennison filling in on the right rear.
And did you see the right rear? They went back there. Two of them looked at it.
Yep.
Thumbs up,
Yep.
meaning that leaking CV joint was okay.
Yep.
It's a 15-second stop, though. That was an incredibly long stop for Robbie.
Puts him a lap down for the moment, but of course everybody else is going to have a pit stop before too much longer. Sam Hornish is back into the lead. He has led 87 laps so far. Buell has led 18, so has Jacques Lazier before he dropped out. Giafoni led 13 before his demise. Scott Sharp has been at the front twice, and Buddy Lazier, who's also out of the race, or I should say he is still in the race, but 36 laps down, has led 1 lap. There's Scott Sharp running in second spot, just 3 or 4 car lengths behind.
And he's probably going to pit, if what Jerry Punch told us is true, in another 2 or 3 laps. It'll give him 60 laps to go, and he'll have to make that. And he could be on a fuel conservation mode right now as one of the reasons he's falling back a little ways.
And Larry, you're exactly right. And even when he pits on lap 141 next time by, it's still going to be very, very close. If you do the calculations at 2.2 miles per gallon and 35 gallons, it's still going to be very, very close for Scott Sharp.
Hornish making a pit stop. We're seeing Buzz Calkins. I want to mention quickly, he's been selected by the Salt Lake Organizing Committee of the Olympics to carry the torch, one of many from the world of sports to carry the Olympic torch, and our congratulations to Buzz Calkins representing our racing league in the Olympics. All right, Sam Hornish Jr. now comes down. You see the American Red Cross on the front of the car as the Pennzoil Panther team replaces the 4 Firestone tires and fuels the car, possibly for the final time here with 39. 141 laps completed. Ooh, a little bit of a delay there getting off, but he is moving, and Scott Sharp is also on pit road.
I think these cars are pretty much out of gas, and the fuelers are having to jam every bit of gas into them that they can.
Oh, Didier Andre must have a fire in the car. They're dousing him with water. His car is on pit road, but the fire crew is right there. Didier scrambling out of that car. He was having a tremendous race, running in the ton. It looks like that
he looks to be in some discomfort.
Yeah, with the hands.
Yeah, it looks like he had the same problem that we had a few weeks ago where he pulled the fuel tank over. His car did catch on fire, and you can see he's pulled that fuel tank clear across the pit wall onto the racetrack side of the pit wall. So, and all that crew and some of the other crews from down there trying to upright that and make sure that no more fuel leaks out.
Oh, boy, yeah, I hope he's okay. The problem with methanol is that when it burns with a clear flame, so no one can even see if you're on fire, and you can't even see it yourself. You just feel the heat, and you feel this intense heat and obviously pain, but you cannot see what's happening, and that's the scary thing.
And Jason, we are up here, and you're exactly right. And the big concern is you saw him putting his hands and upper body back in a big bucket of ice, and like anything, like if you were cooking on the stove, you want to get the heat out of the tissue. You want to get as much cold water there as you can, and he is in some distress here. The fire, we are told, was around his forearms, his wrists, and his hands. He was wearing protective gloves, but as you can see, he is trying his darndest to soak those hands, and as you mentioned, methanol fires are clear. You cannot see him, and now as safety crews will come over and be able to help him get his fire suit off. But what a tough break for a young man who was having a great run here today.
Well, he, too, has had a great first year in the Indy Racing League. Finished 10th at Miami. Had a 17th place finish here in the earlier race at Texas. His best finish of his career and, of course, of the season was a 4th place at Richmond, which was the scene of his best start also.
And he was a very, very personable young guy. I saw him this last weekend when you and I were at the USGP in Indianapolis. And just a super guy, and really, really fun to be around. Likes to have a laugh and likes to tell a joke. We hope he's okay.
Well, With the pit stops having been made, they are running just like they were before. It's Hornish, Buell, Sharp, Alonso Jr., and Eliseo Salazar. Just a great race, as per usual, here at Texas Motor Speedway as we bring the curtain down on the 2001 Indy Racing League campaign. Robbie Buell is back at the front of the field, and he's being chased by Sam Hornish. Scott Sharp running third, then Unser, Salazar, Lazaro, Raydon, and Treadway, the 8 cars on the lead lap.
Treadway's done a great job. He was a lap down earlier. He's come back, and so was Raydon as far as that goes. Both those guys were a lap down and have regained that lap and running pretty strong right now.
I talked to Ricky Treadway before the race, and he had a good showing at Chicago as well before some problems, and he ended up finishing in the top 15. In fact, he finished 14th, but he said he thought he had a 6th or 7th place car. Said today he wants to pass cars and finish in the top 10, and right now, Larry, as you noted, he's running 8th.
That's Lazaro, Raydon, and Dare there on your screen.
Yeah, those guys, of course, 2 of them rookies, and having a great outing here this time at Texas.
Front 2 cars here running 6th and 7th. Dare is a lap down, running in 10th spot. We have less than 50 laps to go in the Chevy 500. The torch being passed this weekend from the Oldsmobile Aurora engine, which has powered 48 of 50 winners in the Indy Racing League since it came on board. The torch is being passed to Chevy, which next year will pick up the nameplate for the General Motors manufactured engine. Chevy, you'll remember, was in Indy-style racing for a long time. In fact, their first win was with Rick Mears at the Indy 500 back in 1988, and we welcomed them back to the Indy Racing League in 2002.
Yes, and then it will be a new engine next year. They're not going to just redo this one. They're going to have a new one, and then they will build another brand new engine in 2003. They're changing the rules slightly. That engine will be 30 pounds lighter, have a lower CG, so it's going to be significantly different in 2003.
And again, 2003 is the year that Toyota will come on board as an engine manufacturer. So things are looking very bright for the Indy Racing League as we close out the 2001 campaign and look forward to Homestead, Miami in March in the beginning of another year.
Hornish and Buell are about to come up on some lap traffic, guys. This may give Hornish the chance he needs to catch up to Buell.
Buell was told earlier to put it in 6th gear and leave it there, and that's usually the highest gear, kind of a fuel-conserving gear, but he has really run well and kind of pulled away from Sam Hornish at this point.
Robbie Buell looking for his first IRL win since the 2000 season opener at Orlando, and Anthony Lazaro has a problem. He was just about to come off the turn 4 banking when the problem occurred, so he got off the throttle and headed for pit road and now stops the car.
Yeah, and you can see that he's a little bit warm too. He wants to get the heck out of there, and it probably, the engine is blown, probably some hot water or whatever on his backside. You can see him rubbing his rubbing the bottom right there. He was very hot.
Here he is. He's battling with Raydon, who goes to the outside, and now Dare passes by as Anthony lifted off the accelerator, knowing that something was wrong.
And Dare did a great job seeing him get out of the throttle and missing him, because at those kind of speeds, you got to really be on your toes to miss somebody when that sort of thing happens.
Boy, disappointment there, huh? He was having a great race.
He was having a really great race, and you know, like Sam was saying, he's a super guy. I did know him when he was racing Formula Atlantics, and he's a very experienced driver. He has been racing cars and racing very fast cars very competitively for a long time, and he's got a future here in the IRL.
So we're under caution once again here at Texas Motor Speedway as Robbie Buell is the leader of the race. 159 laps about to be completed.
And this yellow probably is very good for Robbie Buell. Wasn't his crew saying that he was going to have to come in for a splash later on?
It'll be good for all of them, and he is in the worst shape of anybody. He was the first guy to pit. Hornish and Sharp both were kind of on the edge of whether they could make it. I still don't know whether this will help him enough to make it without another stop.
We will take a break and be back with more in just a moment. They're the top 10 with 158 laps completed. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. We are under caution because of a mechanical problem on Anthony Lazzaro's car. Pits will be open as they come around this time. Scott Sharp is running third.
Scott, this is Larry Rice. Are you going to try to run to the end without a pit stop?
I'm sorry, Larry, I couldn't make out what you're saying.
Just wondering, can you make it without stopping in the pits again?
I still am having a hard time making it out. But I'll answer just what I think you said. Delphi car is really good. The team's giving some great pit stops on the, I think we can run from here to the end, hopefully. We'll see how long this yellow lasts.
If you cannot go, if you do not make a pit stop, is it going to be a fuel conserving here at the end?
Well, we'll just have to see. The guys in the pits really make those decisions.
Well, good luck. The decision has been made for Robbie Buell and Salazar and several other drivers. They have decided to come in and get a final pit stop. We knew that Buell needed one, and here is the work being done on the Purex car. And now he goes out, and Scott makes a good point, Larry. It all depends on how long this caution is. Of course, the longer they go, the better they are on the possibility of going the distance.
Yes, and here's going to be the real thing. If both Hornish and Scott Sharp run to the end without a pit stop and have to conserve fuel, have to turn down the wick a little bit, have to let off a little bit, have to really try to save fuel, is Buell going to be better off because he can turn it up now. He's got plenty of fuel. He's got brand new tires, but he's going to have to go through all the traffic. So he's going to be faster. He should be able to run faster the whole last 50 laps. But, is it going to be enough? Can he get through that traffic in time?
Well, there's Hornish, and we are still under caution with almost 162 laps now completed. Field is in turn 4. They are looking at the 1 to go signal this time around. Bench Hornish is the leader.
Sam Hornish is indeed the leader, and he last pitted on lap 141. That means that he would have to be out on the course for 59 laps. That's one heck of a fuel window, Larry Rice. But the brain thrust behind the Pennzoil Panther team decided that, hey, we've already wrapped up the championship. We came here to win. We're going to roll the dice and see what happens. No harm if they run out of fuel. They won't win the race, but they still got the championship locked up. They want to win the race, and they felt the only sure way to do it would be to stay out on the track and try to stretch the fuel. Jerry Punch?
And Vince, rookie Anthony Lazzaro was running as high as second, was running actually sixth when he had his problem. Anthony, what put you out?
I guess it was an engine-related problem. It just started tightening up, getting into 3, and my seat started getting hot, and that's why I jumped out so quick. But, I want a home here in the IRL. I've had a great time the 2 races that I've done. I got to thank the guys at BG Products, all my friends at WorldCom, and the people at Standard Management, and my good friend over here in Texas, Bill Ram, for making this weekend possible.
Bob, there was a rumor he was going Winston Cup, but he wants to come here full-time to the Indy Racing League.
And an excellent performance here this afternoon, but unfortunately in a race that will not go to its conclusion for Anthony Lazzaro. We are back to racing, and now here is Hornish and Scott Sharp, then Buell, Salazar, Treadway, Unser, and there is Laurent Redon. Now, this is Conquest Racing, which of course, is owned in part by Eric Bachelard, a former driver at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. These cars were purchased from Nienhaus Racing just a couple of races ago, and this young man from Chaumont, France, is having a heck of a show here this afternoon.
Yeah, and he just went into 6th position. Now that he's going to go around another car, that's Greg Ray. So he is running a great race for only a second time out.
His first race in Chicago, he started 13th and finished 7th. Meanwhile, we go back up front and pick up on the battle between Sam Hornish and Scott Sharp.
Yes, and Robbie Buell already after that pit stop has moved back into 3rd position. He was in 3rd position, but he's now 3rd in the racetrack, so he's just got racetrack between him and the first 2.
We got smoke from the back of Laurent Redon's car.
Just as we say how good he's doing, the car develops a problem. Wow. Too bad. Is it going to bring out the caution? Yes, it does. The caution is out once again. And again, it's a break for these guys who are running low on fuel, or at least trying to stretch it to the end And now we have the caution displayed once again as Redon brings the MyJack car to pit road.
Bob, you hit the nail right on the head. The Pennzoil Panther team clapping their hands and giving each other the thumbs up sign because the yellow is exactly what they needed to preserve fuel. And you can see a little bit of celebration there with still some laps remaining here. But this group definitely pleased to see the yellow.
The guy that we just saw right there on the left is Gary Pedigo, one of the principals of the team. Gary has been a supporter of Indy Racing League since its beginning, and of course his team went to the championship this year. And here is Robbie McGee coming in slowly.
I don't think we've seen this kind of attrition since the early days of the Indy Racing League. I don't remember ever having this many engine-related problems and so forth in a race. We've just had an incredible amount of people playing the pits for some reason.
Well, while they check the racetrack, we are at reduced speed once again with 32 laps to go in the Chevy 500. Indy Racing League officials checking the track here at Texas Motor Speedway for any oil or other liquid that might have been put out on the track by Laurent Redon, who is now out of the race. Down to Jerry Punch.
Bob, they are all smiles here in the Scott Sharp pit because this yellow has given them the comfort level they need for fuel. They just told Scott a moment ago, full rich, our friend, full rich. You can go after him. You can go get him now. Full rich, and Scotty screamed, yeehaw, which means these final 30 laps, he can do what he wants to. He can finally race.
Boy, this could be a real shootout here. We've got 6 drivers on the lead lap. RPM tonight can be seen at 10 o'clock on Sunday evening, a wrap-up of the weekend's activities. You can catch John Kernan with the weekday report at 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 3 Pacific on ESPN2. RPM tonight, your source for all the news from the world of motorsports. Going green next time by.
Well, yeehaw. That's not a bad Texas accent for a kid from Norwalk, Connecticut, is it, Bob?
It's Hornish, Sharp, Buell, Salazar, Treadway, and Unser. Those on the lead lap, the top 6. And I would say that from what we have seen today, although there is certainly no reason why Salazar, Treadway, and Little Al can't win, but Hornish, Sharp, and Buell have been especially impressive here this afternoon and could really take it down to the wire here today.
I think it's going to be interesting to see just what Scott Sharp can do now that he can turn full fuel. I don't think we've really seen what he has in that car today, and it'll be interesting these next few laps to see how fast he runs.
Here we go.
They both got a great start, too. Look at that.
28 laps to go. Sharp goes up top.
He didn't waste any time letting us know he's going to go for it, did he?
Looks like someone put a tiger in their tank.
He pulls even with Hornish down the backstretch. At the end of the backstretch and into turn 3, they remain side by side as Robbie Buell now has a bird's eye view, about a half a car length behind. Top 3 right there, separated by less than a car length.
If you remember, there were 3 cars, the same sort of scenario the first time we were here, that were battling tooth and toenail right to the very end. It could happen again here today. And once again, the inside position through the corners, he can gain about a half car length through there because he's going less distance. Look at this, though. That's Salazar coming up there on the inside and gets around Buell.
Boy, Salazar, to get around Buell, he had to put 2 wheels in the dirt coming through the deep part of the oval, just like Hornish was doing earlier.
Salazar has not won since Las Vegas in 1997. And he would like to put A.J. Foyt's team in the winner's circle here. And look at the strength that Salazar is displaying.
Oh, boy, he had a look down the middle, too. He was thinking about shooting that gap.
Salazar looks to be a little impatient. You know, this guy's running side by side, leaves him nowhere to go on the racetrack, and he's trying to figure out which one is going to get the lead.
Salazar's best finish here was 5th in the first race in 1999. And in the second race last year. And boy, he is right up there with Hornish and Sharp. And look at Robbie Buell coming up now on the side, on the high side of Salazar. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, like we said before, you've got a 215-mile-an-hour pace lap going here with guys running 2 by 2.
Well, look at that. Robbie Buell starting to take a look on the top side, looking to make it 3.
We've seen him sneak down to the underside trying to make it 3 abreast, but I've never seen anybody try it on the outside.
And you know what's going through the mind of Ricky Treadway, who's in 5th position? He's saying, well, I don't want to say what he's thinking, but you know that he would like to see all these guys spin out, let's say, and allow him to win this race.
Look at him. He is trying 3 wide through that corner. He went up there just to test it. He had no intention of trying to pass anybody. He just wanted to see, is this thing going to really stick up here? Well, it looked like it did to me.
The fans here at Texas Motor Speedway are standing and cheering probably more than they are in any football stadium in the country right now, because they are seeing an unbelievable display of speed and talent on the high banks of Texas at over 215 miles an hour.
It's just incredible that they keep doing this race after race after race. And it's not only at this racetrack, they do it at other places too. But this one seems to be the one that's most incredible for the side-by-side. Look how close those guys run.
Close they are. Sharp and Hornish are separated by literally inches. I'm telling you, it is unbelievable. They're the top 5. That's Ricky Treadway back there in 5th spot as they come down and complete lap number 180. And oh, Buell got very high and raised the dust, but saved it.
Man, oh man, that's about as close as you want to get to that outside wall.
That'll get your attention in a hurry. The big white monster.
Coming up on 19 laps to go.
And you can hear them telling Scott Sharp they're coming up on some lap traffic, so...
Ooh, that's going to be play interesting, isn't it? What are they going to do?
There's only so much room out there.
And I don't want to be the guys that's lap traffic, I can tell you that. Really.
I'm going to get well off the racetrack if I were them.
Well, hopefully their spotters will be telling them that, and so they will get out of the way, because this is an incredible race, and for them to come up on somebody this quickly, that might not be good.
And it's true what you said, Bob. These drivers have been putting on shows like this week in and week out. Every single racetrack we go to is super exciting side-by-side racing just like this. I mean, hats off to all of them for doing such a fantastic job this season.
It really has been a great year for the IRL, and we just look so much forward to next year, I should say. Now watch Robbie Buell here a couple of laps ago, and look how high he got coming out of 4.
He started on that, he just went clear to the outside and just, well, you can tell there's still dust there from last night's truck race, so nobody had been there yet today, that's for sure.
Breaking new ground, baby.
Hornish now has the lead. The battle is for 2nd position between Buell up high and Scott Sharp down low.
Scott Sharp elected to fall in behind Hornish when they came up on that lap traffic rather than take the chance of going in there 3 abreast. When he did that, he lost that outside position and gave Buell the opportunity to try him on the outside.
We are 1 short of a record for lead changes in IRL history. 30 here today. I wouldn't be surprised for what we would have at least 1 more before the checkered flag drops, and Scott Sharp may be the one to tie the record here.
And the Panther team is telling Sam Hornish, don't give up the bottom. Make him go around you on the outside. You can see coming off the corner, he stays on the bottom. Now, they're also telling, they've warned them all year long not to block. So when he comes off the corner, he's got to hold that inside line if he wants to keep them from going under him.
1 through 6 separated by 0.6 of a second. The top 5, I should say. Allenser Jr. is 6th, not up doing battle with the others.
How about Ricky Treadway running up there with the tall dogs,
Ricky
boys?
Treadway in his 2nd race ever in an IRL event. Phenomenal.
3rd.
Sorry, Bob.
Grand Kentucky and Chicago.
Grand Kentucky and Chicago. Yes, sir. You are correct, as always, Bob. Seldom wrong and right again.
Well, his best finish was 14th at Chicago, but he is right now up there in 5th position and very much in position to win the race.
Whoa.
Look at this.
Hornish pushing Sharp way down on the track, trying to protect that position.
Yeah, they have to be careful. Remember, blocking is not looked upon very well by Brian Barnhart. Meanwhile, back there in 3rd, Robbie Buell, he's taking the other track. He's trying the outside. He's been running high on the racetrack most of the time, and he's just waiting for that opportunity. Whether it comes or not, we don't know.
Aliseo Salazar sitting patiently in fourth, looking for some opportunities as well. And, you know, Salazar a little overlooked this weekend because so much attention was focused on Greg Ray driving for A.J. Foyt with the Infinity Power. Salazar kind of got the feeling he was maybe driving for his job this weekend. He's certainly doing a nice job here today, running in fourth and still in contention.
And there goes Sharp.
And this may be the move that has to work for him as he's now alongside Hornish. Look at Buell.
Oh,
He is 3 wide on the outside.
They're 3 wide through the corner. They're going to, yeah, they made it.
Holy smokes. We said we've never seen anybody try 3 wide on the outside. Well, you just saw it and you saw him make it work.
Wow, we got 10 to go. 190 complete at Texas. It's Hornish, Sharp, Buell, Salazar, Treadway for the lead.
Now then, Hornish has a definite advantage. Those two cars running side by side are going to stir up the air, as they just did. Now then, Buell had to fall in behind. As long as they're running side by side, they can't run as fast as they can out front.
Remember, Sam Hornish won the first 2 races this year. That set the theme for what has turned into a championship year. But he won Phoenix, he won Miami, he had a 4th place finish at Atlanta before going to Indianapolis and finishing 14th. And then it has been a string of top 6 finishes, most of them 2nd and 3rd.
And that's how you win championships. It's that kind of consistency that wins championships for you.
They were so close coming through that corner. You know,
I think he got him.
Look,
he got him.
Sharp has gone to the lead now.
Now Buell's going to take a shot at him, too.
Sam Hornish is seeing red right now, I can tell you, because he didn't think that was going to happen. He didn't think anybody was going to be able to pull that move off. He's held him off for so many laps. But now then, he's got Buell to contend with as well.
That's the 31st lead change, so we have now tied the record. Will we set a record before the checkered flag drops? Sam Hornish is battling back once again. Scott Sharp has the lead as they come down to complete lap 194, 6 to go.
And Bob, they are screaming at Scott Sharp, stay on the bottom, hug that line, stay on the bottom. He says affirmative. They're trying to keep to the inside and make Hornish have to use the high groove.
Look at Hornish, he looked to the bottom.
He wants that bottom line.
Well, we've seen it before. Guys try to hold that bottom, but if you leave them any kind of opening at all down there, they can take advantage of it. It's definitely the fastest way around this racetrack in most instances.
Sharp won the race here in June, and he's in a position to do it again.
Bob, not only did he win in June, his last 2 victories have come here at the Texas Motor Speedway. So he could, you know, conceivably have his last 3 wins all be at this racetrack.
Boy, and he does. Watch him down the back straightaway. He's only about a few feet off the bottom line, and still Hornish tries to get down under him.
Less than 4 to go.
Robbie Buell's just sitting back there thinking, what the heck do I have to do to win this race?
The drivers have got to watch their lines because Brian Barnhart has warned them about blocking. Scott Sharp is holding off the challenge right now, but he's staying at the bottom of the racetrack. Now we've got less than 3 laps to go.
And Hornish is trying everything to get around him. He's going up, he's going down. He's trying to get up tight and get a good run off him. Unbelievable.
Well, knowing that Scott is protecting the bottom, Sam has got to go to the high side of the racetrack to make a move.
And here
But Buell now is the one that's going to go up top.
Yeah, and he's being told that Buell's there, so he's not only got to worry about trying to get the lead, but also say, whoa, you can see Buell got pretty high there.
They're coming down for the white flag. 1 more lap to go. And it's going to be Scott Sharp that leads the next to last lap. Who will it be when they come around again? Sharp, Hornish, Buell at Texas for the win. They go through 1 and 2 in the same order. Hornish has got to make a move here soon, and he's got to do it to the top side of the racetrack. Will he have the momentum to do it? He goes to the high side, but Scott Sharp maintains the slight advantage as they come off the 4th corner at the line. Oh, he's got him!
Got him!
Oh, my gosh, what a finish!
Unbelievable!
Oh, my goodness!
He shows them you're the champion!
Oh!
Way to dig, way to dig!
Oh, that was unbelievable!
Stop and turn 3!
Say something, Larry.
He just How can you say? What do you say? I mean, this guy hasn't been able to pull a pass off on the outside all race long. Doesn't even try to go out there. Looks under the bottom side, and all of a sudden, on the last corner, he just pulls out there. And look at this.
Well, he's going to stop over in turn 3 because there will be a championship celebration, and he's going to stop over in turn 3, and then they're going to bring him.
I think that young man right there is going to have a championship celebration tonight to end all championship celebrations.
Look at the finish here and how close it is over Scott Sharp.
He was on the outside. He just had that little bit of momentum coming off the corners we talked about all day. And it's a half a car length. But look at this.
Yeah.
Buell's on the outside, 3 wide.
All 3 of them.
Wow. Well, it's hard to describe what kind of a race we saw here today that Sam Hornish has won, but a fitting end to an incredible season for Sam, who started the year with a win and ends it with a win, and in the meantime won the $1 million bonus from Northern Light in taking the IRL championship. The margin of victory was 18 thousandths of a second, the closest finish in history. We'll be right back. We have witnessed the closest finish in the history of the Indy Racing League. Sam Hornish has beaten Scott Sharp and Robbie Buell. The interval between first and third was 46 thousandths of a second. Jerry?
And Scott climbed out of the car a moment ago, leaned over to his crew and said, "I'm sorry." Then they just all began to hug each other. What a finish. And Scotty, the closest finish in Indy Racing League history, 18 one-thousandths of a second. What a final lap.
Just an unbelievable race. You know, Jerry, first I got to thank the man upstairs. I mean, going into today, it's wild racing out there. You're flat out all the time, almost waiting for something to happen, and got to thank him up there for sure for giving us all safe race. But, boy, we raced each other clean, we raced each other hard, and hats off to Sam. You know, I thought once I got underneath him, no one was going to get around me the outside, and even going in the last lap, I'm like, okay, this is ours. And coming off turn 4, I even, you know, I used every bit of room I could, you know, use, but he still had a great run, and I couldn't believe he just had the momentum and got me.
I heard him say, hug the line, hug the bottom groove, and I guess everyone figured if you stayed down there, he had no shot.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously everyone wanted to get to the bottom, and, you know, he looked a lot, even went under the white line going down the back straightaway, but I just wouldn't let that happen. So, you know, sometimes when you got to pinch the car a little to keep it down there, maybe lose a little bit of your momentum, and he was able to just time it right, get the draft, and he, you know, he deserved it. We had a great day, though. Delphi guys, great pit stops, and got second, finished third in points. We're happy.
Scott Sharp, what a great run today, and what an outstanding finish. Still hear the fans screaming down here, Bob.
And here's the victory lap. Sam Hornish carrying the American flag in front of the 70 or so thousand people that have gathered here. He's going to take the American flag all the way around the racetrack, saluting the fans and, of course, showing the patriotic spirit that has permeated the United States since September 11th. 2001. Sam Hornish Jr. wins the closest race in IRL history, and of course, he previously won the championship.
It's time to reveal the Indy All-Access Sweepstakes Driver of the Day.
Hi, I'm Sam Hornish Jr. from Defiance, Ohio. I'm the Indy All-Access Driver of the Day.
For your chance to win a ride in an Indy car and a trip to next year's Indianapolis 500, log on to ESPN.com, keyword Indy Pass. Fill out an entry form and include the name of the driver of the day. One entry with the correct answer will be selected at random as this week's winner.
Well, he is the driver of the day, the driver of the year for the Indy Racing League. And now it's time to do the donuts. He carried the American flag the entire trip around the racetrack, brought it back, has taken another lap, does a donut, and now will soon be receiving the applause of the crowd as he gets out of the car in victory lane. Down to Jerry Punch, who's with Robbie Buell.
And Robbie, just an outstanding effort today. That Infinity was stout.
It has. Those guys, the Infinity Motorsports guys, have been working hard all year, and every time out we get a little bit better. You know, the Purex car's been the fastest car the last 4 races. Unfortunately, we didn't get a victory in any of those to show it, but I think that says a lot about the IRL, that type of racing. You know, I was giving it everything I could, and we ended up third, but it was a lot of fun, give us a lot of momentum into next year, and, you know, with Infinity, we're just going to keep doing our homework over the winter, and we're going to come out at the beginning of next year just how we finished.
A lot of momentum for Robbie Buell. Let's go over and check in with Vince. Vince?
Sam Hornish Jr. taking off his helmet and head sock after just completing the closest victory in the history of the Indy Racing League. 18 thousandths of a second and a thrilling finish, a dash to the checkered flag. And Sam, I don't know how you did it. That was some kind of victory. Did you just feel as though maybe you had a little left in you as you came off of 4?
Didn't know if we did. I knew that we were just a little bit off on gears, and 4th wasn't quite enough to be in the draft, and 5th was a little too much. So just that last time I got into 4th, going into the 3rd turn, and it just gave me enough to get by him.
What was your thought when he got by you and he took first place and you were in second? Did you think maybe that was the race right there?
I thought it was. I thought Robbie was going to get a run on me too, but everybody did a great job today. It was an awesome race, and Pennsylvania Panther guys, they give me awesome race cars.
Do you think of a better way to have capped the championship? Because I know you were a little frustrated after winning the first 2 races and then not being able to get back into victory lane. You won the championship and you finished the season with a victory as well.
The Panther team won here last year in the season finale, and then we went on to win 2 more races at the beginning of the next season, so it's a good way to start.
Look at that smile, $1 million smile for Sam Hornish Jr., the champion of the Indy Racing League and the champion of the Chevy 500 today.
In fact, it's the 3rd win in the last 6 Texas races for Team Panther, 2 by Scott Goodyear and today by Sam Hornish. 32 lead changes, an all-time record, and for the first time in history, an IRL race has been decided by a last lap pass. Well, we're still trying to get over the incredible excitement we saw here this afternoon. There are the final point standings. Scott Sharp finishes in 3rd. Texas Motor Speedway has not disappointed again. It has given us the, well, it's really the closest finish in history and undoubtedly one of the most exciting races that has been held in the United States in a long time. 32 lead changes and the win by Sam Hornish Jr.